Alright. Trying to get this audio working correctly. Check 1, 2, check, check. It's only coming out through the left. How do we get into stereo? Alright. Check, check, check. 1, 2. What's good, internets? I feel like this mic probably sucks a little bit more, but I can't get this one to come in just mono, or it's a stereo mic, but it's just coming in on one channel, so you can only hear it in the left ear, which is kind of annoying. I think it would be a little bit annoying to listen to. Anyways, let's try to use this mic, see how it works out. Okay, so today is Sunday Funday. And the fun things that we're doing today, or that I'm doing today, and that you can join in on, are related to 3D printing and some drones. So I'm trying to go fly later today because I've been doing some experimentation with 3D printing, and the one thing that I had a need for was something to hold and to mount my new GoPro on. So there's this company, Brain 3D, and they do like 3D prints for drone stuff, and they make really cool, high quality prints. They're real high quality and smooth, and no flaws, very structurally sound. They just do a really good job of being able to screw into whatever drone you're using and be able to hold your GoPro for you. And so recently I've been flying these drones, these hyperlow drones. See a little sticker right there. And these hyperlow drones have a specific little pattern right here, and you screw it in right there, and you put the GoPro in and get nice HD GoPro footage. But this company has only been printing. They've only been doing prints for popular frames recently, which makes sense to me. But one of my go-to frames is this guy right here, and this is like, it's probably at least a 2-year-old frame right now. This frame's been everywhere, and the reason I stick with it is because I've broken plates on it, I've broken arms, and it just is durable and just my go-to. It's just standard, and it's also 6-inch. This is a little bit wider, and it can support, which just means it can support the GoPro a little bit better, because these new GoPros are real heavy. But the one problem is this company doesn't make these prints for this frame. And so I was messaging with them, and they were like, oh, we don't plan on doing this frame because nobody uses it anymore. And I was like, oh man, that's sad because I like this frame a lot. So I was like, well, why don't I buy a 3D printer? Because I've been trying to get into, I'm trying to spend more hours, sinking more hours into hobbies. Why don't I get a 3D printer and try making it myself? So I got one, and I've been experimenting with it, just making some little plastic things. It's a little plastic drone. It's kind of cool. Here's a Yoda. 3D printing, are you? Yeah, this is a little Yoda guy. You stick them on the 3D printer and he spins around. Cool thing about a 3D printer is that you can actually make your own. Like, the printer sometimes requires little oh, I'm gonna be kicking this stand the whole time, aren't I? 3D printer sometimes requires like little fan covers or wire clips or just a whole bunch of stuff to guide the plastic, just little things that make the use of the printer easier. And so you can print your own stuff for the 3D printer. You could probably replace a lot of the parts other than the part that heats up and actually prints with these little plastic stuff. So what I've been doing recently is experimenting, making little Christmas gifts and knickknacks, and then also you get this flexible stuff, and you can make flexible mounts and protectors for the GoPro. So I printed this as a little test, and it worked pretty well. And the way well, first off, these things are just like files that people put up on the internet. You can use the program to slice it up for the printer, and so the printer can do its thing. But if you're actually going to make your own models, you got to be using a different program for that. So we might go into there in a second. But basically, what I was doing was I was using this as a model. This is the one from the company, Brain 3D, and I just straight up measured every part of it, just seeing how they got the fit to the GoPro, the measurements, so it's all snug in there and at the angle which it's sitting and everything. And I got all of those measurements, and I was able to make this little guy. And then the second part is the part that actually goes to this frame. The part that goes to this frame is different than the one with the hyper low frames. Just slightly different little screw pattern, so it mounts on properly wherever the screws sit. So this is also one from the company, but this is for a different sized GoPro. And so what I did was I took the mounting or the cover part for this GoPro, the new GoPro Hero 7, and I took the measurements for that. I took measurements for my frame, the mounting part, and I just combined the two models together and just gave it a little bit of an in-between angled part so that it would sit properly. And this is what I came up with. And I think it came out pretty damn good. Quality is very similar. I mean, it's not perfect. My 3D printer is not perfect. I don't have all the settings down yet or whatever, but these came out very similar, and it fits perfectly on this drone right here, which I'm very happy with. Do a little bit of a zoom action in here. Oh yeah, got that zoom action. Yeah, so it just screws into the mounting points, and it's very secure. I haven't actually tried flying with it yet, so that's what I want to try today, is bring my GoPro out and put it in here and see if I can get a live stream, maybe to Facebook or something, going from the GoPro to see if we can test it out. A lot of experimentation going on recently with streaming and new drones and 3D printing, which is all very exciting stuff. I'm very excited about all this this new tech and these new capabilities that I have to be able to print basically whatever. It's like Star Trek. You just say, hey, I need this thing. I need a cover for my phone. I need a thing to store little SD cards in because they get lost all the time. You just put them all together. You just tell it to print, prints it out. You can design your own stuff. You can look on this website called Thingiverse, which I've been exploring recently. Very cool stuff. People just print or design stuff and put it up there, and you can print it for free. I've been trying to, now I've been getting into designing my own stuff. Designing like little axis mount. This is like an antenna mount for my other drone frame. It was kind of like loose before, and this just situates it nice in there, and also protects it so if it hits it from the side. And then the GoPro mount for this is called a QAVR. I'm going to put that up on Thingiverse too, see if anybody else can use it. I don't think anyone's running this 2-year-old frame anymore. Actually, it might be older. I don't know. I got this around 2 years ago. I think it's going on 2 years now. So yeah, it's rather old. I don't blame the company for not making it anymore because nobody really supports it. But that's why you gotta design your own stuff, print your own stuff, and then you really make anything you want. So like right now, what I'm trying to figure out is some cool Christmas stuff to print for family and friends. Actually, I got this reindeer print ready to go. Actually, let me start that real quick. So it's going in the background here. Good. Oh, it's got to heat a little bit. And then you take this glue stick so that it actually sticks to the bed properly, the thing that prints on properly. Just take a little bit of glue stick, make a little layer, so as it starts printing, it can just stick down, right? So that'll be going in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud. I'm going to try making a bunch of like maybe reindeer or angels or Christmas ornaments, and we'll make them for some family and stuff. So when I see them over the holidays, I can be like, hey, look, I made this for you. My 3D printer printed this for you. I would like to just go into the program real quick and just so you can get a little idea of what's going on. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is let some people know that what we'll be doing today. So some 3D printing going on, but my main thing that I'd like to do today, well, we're going to be doing some 3D printing. We're also going to be doing some testing of this 3D print that I did with the GoPro. We'll be streaming later on from that. But in the meantime, it's going to get dark. Maybe sunset's at like 4:30, maybe closer to 5 a little bit. So we'll try and get that out there by like 3 p.m. But until then, very exciting. I have a new frame, which means I get to build a new drone. We might not be able to get all of it done today, but we'll try and get as much as possible done today. And as I'm building it, I'll be kind of explaining like what's going on and what am I doing, what are things for. But it's a new frame by this company Hyperlow. It actually just came out. It's called Race Style, the RS, the Race Style, and it's very, very slick, very slick frame. It's very light. I don't know how well it's going to be able to support this big GoPro, but I mostly got it so I can. Oh, there goes the 3D printer. I guess it just heated. Is it yeah, it looks like it's working. Check on that. We'll come back to that and check on that as it goes. Hopefully it's not too loud. Can't really tell, but yeah, it'll just be some ambient noise in the background. Yeah, so new frame. I barely just got all the arms and stuff locked in on it. It's got some arms and locking plates and stuff. I got the standoffs going on it. So and then you put the electronics in the center. So we're going to be hooking all that up today. But what I should do is let some people know that I'll be building this frame today. Specifically, I should message the guy who makes these frames, Rich, over at Hyperlow, and let all the people know on the Facebook group that I'll be building this day. See if anyone's interested in coming in and seeing the new frame and asking any questions or anything. Okay. Yeah, just gonna message this out real quick. hyper low. Alright, what are my links here? I got a link. Do I got them links? Where them links at? Let me get them links. Let me get them links. Okay, link is... Man, come on, YouTube. You gotta give me the link. Just give me the link. Okay, copy video URL. And the Twitch link? Yeah, there we go. Very exciting time, guys. Doing this new stream setup. Got a new drone to build. 3D printing. There's a lot of experimentation going on. Very, very happy to be pushing some boundaries. Pushing my own boundaries. And also some, hopefully some technological ones with the streaming. Ultimately, I'm trying to get like a streaming setup going from the field so I can actually stream while I'm flying. There's a couple of challenges with that. One, because I'll be right in the middle of the field. So I need like some kind of connection to the internet. There's probably going to be some 4G action going on. The other one is, you know, there's people on the internet, Mr. Steele, other drone flyer people that they'll fly around and they got like a little screen. I got one of those little screens, and you can just basically take your cell phone and then just like point it at the screen, which, you know, works fine. There's nothing wrong with that, other than like it's just a little bit low quality. You're using a camera to record another camera. It's not 100% figured out yet. It's like it's a little rough still. But what I'm trying to figure out is, how do I do like a more HD quality stream from the field? What I'm probably going to do is, I already have the tech because I'm flying this FPV drone. It already takes the feed from the camera and brings it to my goggles so that I can watch it as I'm flying, so I can actually pilot it and fly around. And on the goggles there's a output. So I'm thinking, to at least start it off with, I'm going to take that output and like run it through an HD, like a regular HDMI cable, to a encoder, and try to get that up into the internet. There's a couple little challenges there as well, and I got some ideas on that front. But the one thing is that I'm not sure if my hotspot, the only way I have to beam the video 4G is through a hotspot on my phone, and I'm not sure if that's going to have enough range or whatever, or power. So I might need to get a specific device for that. But then there's all these challenges of how do you power all that stuff while you're out there. you need like batteries. Like there's no plugs, so you need like batteries and stuff. I don't know. It's a little bit of a I've been thinking about it a lot at night when I'm going to bed. It's a little bit of a challenge to, the technology doesn't really exist yet, so I might need to create something. I might need to take a couple things and sandwich them together and just power it through one battery, because I don't want to take 3 different things and plug them into like a little power bank, and just have to figure that part out. But what we're going to do today is the GoPro just has a live streaming feature, so we're going to try that with the hotspot. If I fly too far away, it'll probably get all crappy and fizzle out. But if I fly close, it'll probably work with, I just don't know how close it's going to be. So it's going to be a little bit of an experiment. And I'm happy to try it out. And if you want to see that, it'll probably be on, because the GoPro streams to Facebook, it'll probably be on Facebook. Just look for, it's the same name, Dano Schmano. Okay. Drone build alert. Alright. Got this dope Christmas music stream. Really digging it, actually. Hopefully I don't get any copyright infringement things from the Christmas music. YouTube loves to slap those on, even for live streams. Let's get this mic out of here since it's not doing anything. It's all up in my face. Get out of my face, mic. You don't even work anyway. This is a nice mic too. I really would like to use it. It's got some good quality sound, but I need like a different input method, because it's just only coming out one ear. It's just obviously not the best thing to listen to. Alright, I got that tweeted out. Tweeted. I don't do tweets, come on. All Facebooked out. Newsfeed, your story. Maybe we should take a little Instagram picture too. We'll do that in a second. Let's get back to the task at hand. We got some reindeer feet going on. I should get a camera for the 3D printer and put that like in the corner. Put this like 3D printer view, or maybe like up here, the little 3D print view. We could watch it go back and forth. That'd be kind of cool. It's got so many cameras, Don't want to clutter up the space that much. Okay. Come hang out with me on the internets. Share. Alright. Can we see this at all? I don't really want to move this camera, because it's all like nicely situated right now. But just checking on this reindeer print. I got some legs. Legs are good. It looks like a good size too. Looks like it's gonna be kind of tall, but it's gonna be good size. Here's some other. Let me grab a couple other things too. Here's some other little prints that I've done recently. We did like a little doggy, little cutesy doggy, and then this guy, cool little geometric pattern. The 3D printing really excels with this sort of stuff because to make this by hand or whatever, like, you're never going to get it symmetrical, but the computer gets it symmetrical every single time, which is really cool and kind of easy to model too, because it's all like mirrored, right? Because like every single one of these things is exactly the same, just this, just 8 times or whatever, right? 6 times. There's 6 tongs on it. But this makes like a nice little. You take a little piece of twine and you make a little Christmas ornament. Take a bunch of them, cover your whole tree with them. What's going on with this autofocus? Yeah, so Christmas ornaments. I'm getting some the reindeer going over here. We're getting to the holiday 3D printing spirit. Oh, I think my batteries are finished charging back there for the fly session later. Fly sesh. Live stream fly sesh. That sounds fun, right? Alright. Okay, let's just take a look real quick. Let's finish up the 3D printing thing. I want to take a look real quick at window capture. We're going to take a quick look at Fusion 360, which is a program that lets you, whoa, we go black? Oh yeah. One second. There we go. So this is Fusion, and this is a program that lets you model anything you want. So basically, you take a bunch, you make a little sketch with like lines, and you make little lines, you make circles. If we bring one of these, actually, let's bring up this one. Yeah, spin it around. Alright, so like you can see in here, I mean, a lot of the stuff is a whole another visual language that we're looking at, but you basically get little sketches and you make little lines, and then you can pull them out and extrude them and make little holes and stuff. And that's how I was able to make this little GoPro mount. And what I did was modeled the measurements of the GoPro, modeled the part that mounts onto the drone right here, and then I brought them together and just spaced them apart properly and made a little connection between them. It's like, you can see there's a little sketch in here. I was sketching out the connection. And then you take the whole thing and you put it into the 3D printer program, and then you tell it to print. You can like scale it up, scale it down, but this is all perfectly 1-to-1 scaled. Millimeters, each millimeter is exactly a millimeter here. And this fits pretty good. I might want to go back in here. I mean, the best part about this is that you have this file, so you can go back in here and change it around whenever you want. I might like go back in here and change some of these dimensions so that the GoPro slips in a little bit better. I mean, you want it to be snug so it doesn't come flying out when you're doing a flip or whatever with your drone, but it's a little bit too snug, I'd say. It kind of pushes this apart, like it pushes it apart a little bit too much, and flares it, but it's within 99% of what it should be, and I've only been doing this for like a couple weeks now, so I'm sure I'll get better at figuring out exactly little tips or little tricks to like get the stuff to work better on the first try. But I did do a bunch of prototypes. I got them all stacked up over here. It does feel like a little bit wasteful to print this stuff like 6 times, but Um, I also looked into recycling the material, but it's that's a whole other thing. Um, but we got like they look almost exactly the same, but I got like slightly different dimensions, so the GoPro slips in and out better. And then there was also, this is the first thing I made, which is like this little mount for the antenna, and it's this kind of antenna right here. And this kind of antenna doesn't really sit, like there's nowhere in the drone to like sit it. Like I was just zip tying it right on the wire, and it was fraying the wire a little bit. So what this is able to do is you kind of slip this right in there, and then there's little zip tie holes right here, and that holds it very snugly and securely. And if you were to hit the ground with it and tumble a bunch with the drone, it would actually protect these plastic sides of the antenna so they don't get popped. And it fits like perfectly right in that that hole right there. I actually have well, they're all really prototypes, but I have the semi-final one actually on this right now. As you can see, it fits pretty well. I mean, the profile's nice. It looks pretty good. It's very compact, and it's definitely going to protect it. You just got a little bit of the top sticking out, and so as you're flying along, it broadcasts the video to you. Yeah, so one of the things about doing this sort of stream is I'm not sure how much, how in depth to go. To be honest, like I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this, but if anybody does watch it, and if anyone tuning in right now, I don't know how much people are going to be actually into the drone thing, or if they just like are curious and interested in it from a more general level. So I don't want to get like too technical into stuff. I want to be able to explain what the things are doing for me to be able to fly and be more informational and communicative. But I just don't want to get too technical. I want it to be more of a general thing. So if there's ever any questions or whatever, I hope people will just type them in to the chats, because I'm always watching the chats. Actually, am I watching the chats? Yeah, I am watching the chats. And I'm always down to explain something or talk about something more generalistic than more technical and specific. But that little antenna mount is the antenna for the video, which is what actually broadcasts the video to my goggles, so I can watch as I fly, and that's what the actual FPV is, the first-person view. Alright, so this guy's actually flying perfectly fine right now, or the last time I flew it, it was perfectly fine. It's got kind of old-style motors and stuff, but it's been such a standby. This guy, like I've broken multiple things on this guy. I mean, things are kind of bent and out of shape right now, but it's been working for so long. I mean, I've broken a bottom plate. You can see like it's a couple of stress points. But I've broken arms, broken this bottom plate. I've replaced electronics on this multiple times because this actually went into the ocean in Mexico, off the coast of Mexico, and I dove down and found it with some snorkeling gear, and that just like the ocean is just terrible. It just covers, one, it's water, and electricity don't go well together, obviously, but the salt just gets in everything, and there's just salt covering all the motors, so I had to like strip out all electronics, so it's totally new electronics in here. But this is my go-to for flying with the GoPro to get that HD footage. And yeah, that's why I wanted to make this this mount for it. That's why I printed it up. But yeah, we'll try to fly this later on with some live streaming as well. I already got the batteries charged up behind me. They just finished. I might need to go unplug them in a second. But I'm going to set this guy aside for a second. And what we're going to look at is this new Hyperlow frame. So Hyperlow is a company in LA. So right now I'm in San Diego, but I used to live in LA, and I saw that this guy was cutting frames, and he makes some really, really sleek frames. I'm all about the craftsmanship when it comes to the carbon fiber, since that's what's keeping you in the air, keeping everything together, and where you mount everything, your motors, your camera. It's got to be real strong. It's got to be real rigid and stable. And I saw recently that he had created a new frame, which I was going to buy, and it's called the Race Style. So this is the old frame. It's for freestyle flying. Freestyle flying is like you put your GoPro on it so you can get that HD footage. And this one's super nice. It's been my favorite drone that I've built. Just works really well. I had it in a couple different configurations, since the frame is so versatile that you can actually flip it over, put the plates on the other sides, like just experiment with the way the motors are connected, and which changes the way it flies. It's a little bit subtle, but when you're flying it, because the battery and the GoPro are so heavy, it changes the center of gravity of the drone as you're flying it. So this is actually called the Hyperlow CG for the center of gravity, because you can change the way it put the battery on the top, put the battery on the bottom, switch that around. It's very modular, so you can change it around how you see fit, and that's really rigid and nice. The only problem is it's a tad heavy. So with the GoPro and the battery, it gets pretty heavy and just makes it a little sluggish. You know, it's not really for going too fast, and it's definitely not for racing. But he just created, this guy Rich over at Hyperlow, he just created a new frame, which is called the Race Style. And this is a more, as you can see compared to the other one, it's much thinner arms, much thinner frame. It's much more lightweight. The plate is a little thinner as well, but it's just a well-designed frame all around. And this is the new version. There was an older version, and then this is the new version. It's called the RS Plus. I think it's just taking a cue from Apple or whatever, and just putting a plus on it for the new version. But I was excited to build that other one, and now I'm excited to build this one. So I think that's what we're going to do today. Is I finally got all of my electronics. Let me lay everything out so we can see how it all looks. But I didn't do that much work on it yet. It's basically just all the screws are put in. They're not even that tight yet. They're just kind of all laid out there so I could see how it was working. It's got a nice squashed feel to it. It's like different configurations of drone frames where you get an actual X, but you can see it's not actually lined up. It's like a little bit squished, which for flying with the camera, I prefer this sort of setup. Seems to be a little bit more stable. Alright, so here, let me lay out all of my electronics real quick. Okay, so I got those. We got these. Now these guys, alright, so I'll go through everything as we go, but these guys are these new, shiny new motors, a company called Rotor Riot, just like pretty monolithic in the drone world right now. and this guy named Bot Grinder, who's actually from Philadelphia, where I'm originally from, and he made a motor, and they're like these cool green motor, right? This autofocus is not working too well. Anyways, they had a good sale on these motors, or a good deal on these motors, I should say, for Black Friday. You got an extra motor, so I got one for backup now. So you have 4 motors on the drone, and they actually sent me 5. But these should be really nice motors. They're very similar to the motors I have on the other drone. Snip, snip, snip. Where are my scissors? They're very similar to the other motors. They're actually manufactured by the same company. It's just that Rotorite puts their brand on these. I think they're a little bit different than the brands. The brand is called T-Motor, and I think they're in Taiwan, if I remember correctly. Or yeah, I think they're in Taiwan. Or China. I forget exactly. There's, I think, I'm getting a couple of the companies mixed up in their locations, but they make their own motors, and then they make these Rotor Riot branded motors, and they're very similar. Each motor's got like different specs to them, but the only thing that really matters is that it gets you up in the air and lets you fly real fast. I also like the aesthetic of these motors because they're just like this nice green color. And I'm thinking more about aesthetics recently with my drones and trying to set them up in a way that I think is pleasing. Man, this reindeer's got some hair. I don't know if you can see that, but we got some hair in between. Basically just the print head is like causing some stringing in between the legs, but we can clip that off afterwards. It's more of a test print for the size, and it looks like a pretty good size. We'll see what it looks like when it comes out all the way, when it finishes. Yeah, so we got these little stickers for branding purposes. That's Bot Grinder's logo right there for the motors that I'm using. Get this trash out of here. Get this trash out of here. Alright, more stuff to talk about while I'm getting the electronics out. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Don't need this extra motor, camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's 7 main components to the drone. Easiest one to start with is the frame, which is where we started, and that's made out of carbon fiber, and I think this was like laser cut or something, but they cut it out of carbon fiber sheets, and it's so you can crash into a brick wall and hopefully not too many things break. Then the other most recognizable part are the motors, and you have 4 of them because it's called a quad, mini quad. So you have 4 motors, and that just gives you 3 degrees of freedom when you're flying. Or is it called 3? Yeah, it's 3, because you got the thrust. Got the thrust upwards from the motor, and you got the ability to roll, pitch, and yaw, which is all like old piloting terms that have been moved over to first like hobby planes, and then now these quads. But yeah, everybody knows kind of like what the motor is and what it does. Just put a prop on it, and it spins real fast and it pushes air. But to be able to use the motors, you need something to control them. And that's what this is. It's a speed controller. It's 4-in-1. So I can actually hook up all 4 to one thing. Sits in the center, and then right above it is my flight controller, and that's the brain of the operation. So the flight controller will tell the ESC what to do, and the motors are just basically listening to the ESC. Very, very simple process between the ESC and the motors. Just gives it power or not. The flight controller is trying to figure out between what I'm doing and what the drone should be doing. So a lot of people think, you push forwards on the drone and it just goes forwards, but you're actually telling the brain what you want it to do, and it tries to figure out what it should send the motors to be able to do that action. So you stack these up here, have this come out the sides, so you can plug it into the battery. Should we zoom in a little bit? Maybe I should get rid of this yellow thing right here. Just move it over to the side for now. Get these little logos going. I like the aesthetic of having the logo graphics in there. Something smells weird over here. No, it's fine. Alright, so I think that's 5 components. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's 4 components. The other ones are, you got a camera. This is a nifty little camera from that same company, Rotor Riot. Well, it's made by a company called Fox here, but Rotor Riot just tends to like to brand everything because they got a lot of people following them. So you take this, you put this at the front, boom. Then that camera actually gets connected to the brain, but then also the video goes out from the brain and it goes into a video transmitter, which is just a little radio transmitter, but it's sending the video signal. And that goes at the back here. Figure out how to mount that later on. One, two, three, four, five, 6. So we got 6 of the components. The last one is another radio transmitter, but instead of transmitting video, it's going to connect my controller to the drone so that I can control it. Now, if you asked me, where did I put that receiver, I'd probably say I don't remember. So I should probably go find that real quick. I think it's in the other room, in my drone studio, my workshop, which is not as exciting looking as this little desk setup I got going on right here. It's a little easier for power and streaming to be in here versus the workshop, but which means I'm going to have to bring stuff back and forth sometimes. It's a little frustrating, but it's not too far away. Alright, we got all these little teeny screws and stuff to hook up everything. A little dish full of hardware going on. Very helpful little knick-knack to have is one of these dishes, so that you don't lose any of your parts. Just stick it all in the dish. In the dish, put it in the dish. It's magnetic too, so if you actually got ferrous parts, if you got like steel screws, it'll actually keep them in there very nicely. Alright, I'm so super excited for this new drone build. Haven't been able to build something in a while, and that's most of the fun, is just being able to put it all together, see your creation actually come to life and fly around. This like very rewarding experience. Now, these components are not on the cheaper side, but I think it's very much worth it as an experience of being able to like figure it out and get it all together, get all the components to act as one. And then there's the whole programming stage of it too, which probably won't get to today, but we'll see how far we can get. Okay, I'm not gonna need, I'm gonna need one of these things. I'm gonna need this. What's in here? Got something else down at the bottom here. I'm not sure what it is. Is it a lens, maybe? Oh, it's just all the... yeah, I'm gonna need this stuff too. Yeah, I need that. Come on out. Little remote. Extra wire, is that what this is? Actually not sure what all this wiring is all about, but we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, we're not going to need this. We're probably only going to need one of these. Need my little foamy things. Alright, so we got all the components. Oh, we're missing the receiver. As I do that, let's plug in my little soldering iron guy here. This is the popular one that everyone seems to be using recently. Works pretty damn well. Okay, heat it up. We heatin'. It's getting hot. Okay. While this reaches its temperature, I gotta go find that receiver. Just give me 2 seconds. Should I put up the Be Right Back? Or do you want to look at some drone stuff? I'll just be back in 30 seconds. Got a receiver. Alright, this guy hot? Yeah, I think he's hot. Put a little black background for this Dino Schmano logo right here. Try to keep that black background going. kick this thing over a little bit. Okay. So these little receivers allow me to pilot the drone from my remote. From my gimbal controls are really, really, really teeny. Very micro. Majorly small. Come on, autofocus. You can do it. No, it doesn't want to do it. Doesn't like me. Anyways, very pinky sized. But this will get put right on the front, like right there. And then we got one of these antennas to the Immortal T, as it's known. Obviously, because it's this T shape. And we'll put that on the front, much like it's going to be a very similar setup to this one. See how this one's got the Immortal T on the bottom, on the front there. Got the antenna sticking out the back. Pretty much the same sort of setup. And you can see on the side here, the two controllers are stacked. Man, this autofocus. I want to sit there and like twist it manually though. That's not fun. You can see these controllers are stacked and they got a little wire connection between them, which I'll have to wire up as well. So we got a lot of soldering to do. Which, you know, building drones and programming them and making them fly is one hobby, but soldering is a whole hobby in itself. I guess it's more of like a tool and a skill that people use for different things, but it's something that I'm always just working on getting better at, making smoother. Alright, let's get all this stuff out of here so we can start this process of hooking all this stuff up. The first thing I like to do is, let's make sure I'm not going to pull this soldering iron into myself. First thing I like to do is sort of lay everything out before I start like actually permanently connecting things, figuring out if it's all going to fit properly. Good place to start with that is to get this camera going. Oh, interesting. Now, I'm not sure if this camera is going to be able to fit in here. Okay, we need to remove these little 3D printed mounts for the camera. They man. It's on there very tight. Now, I thought this was going to fit. But it looks like it's a little bit too big. Maybe we don't use this. I was asking Rich, it says you got to use a micro cam. But I was like, is that really necessary? Can you use a mini cam? It's like there's way too many different sizes of cameras. And he was like, yeah, a mini cam should fit. But, I mean, it does fit. It's just I don't have a mounting solution for it. Well, okay, so we'll figure that out later. I'll leave that for last. Let's do what we can do for now. And let's make making some 3D printers making some weird sounds over there. Looks like it's printing a reindeer though. Okay, first thing is to get all this stuff sort of mounted in the places where it's most likely going to go. Okay, so this is the front of the drone right here. And we get motor 4 in the top left and motor 2 in the top right. Pretty sure that's correct. What I'd like to do is just check my other drones as a model. Just to make sure I don't have to look things up every single time. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is going to sit on here like this. Now does that suffice? It's kind of metal touching metal. Not so not so into that. Let's take some plastic washers here and get them in between. I got more of these plastic I got like rubber grommets too, but we shouldn't need them actually. Plastic will just provide a little bit of insulation between the metal and the metal. Shouldn't have any electrical problems, but might as well keep it a little bit more separate. Okay, yeah, now that looks good. Nice little clearance right there. Yeah, everything's very okay. It's good spacing. We got good spacing. Oh, yeah, to go with my bot grinder green. This thing keeps shaking this thing by mistake. Go with my bot grinder green. I got this little green stubby antenna. And the other thing is I actually have green wires for these motors as well, which I may or may not use. I might get lazy and just use these because these are going to be plenty long to make it to the center here. Once these get mounted, you just got to make sure that this is going to get mounted soldered to one another like this. And what I can do is replace them with some green ones, but it might be more work than it's worth. Drone build alert. Hey, we've been live for an hour now. Okay. We haven't even, well, first hour is 3D print hour. So let's get into the actual building now. Gotta learn how to keep my space cleanly for the camera. Let's get this guy out of here. This is for this. Let's get this out of here too. Okay, then flight controller is going to sit right on top of that. Oh, interesting. Oh, I have this on the wrong way. I was about to say, this is not lined up as I remember it. Okay, so motor number 4 goes in the top left. Okay, there we go. And then this is going to sit right on top of it like this. Problem is, we need some major clearance right there. So sometimes what I do is put a couple spacers in there. See if we have enough just sitting around right here to make it work, or if I need to go get some more. That's fine as well. I'm gonna need these, but you know what? I'm gonna need some little rubber spacers as well, and I don't have them here. Yeah, this is gonna be a learning process. Still trying to figure out all the stuff I need. It's just in my workshop, not at the streaming area. Let me go grab it real quick. Another 30 seconds. I'm just gonna run back and forth all day. Alright. Got some stuff. Found some stuffs. And checked on the drone batteries. And they're all good to go, so we be flying later. We be ready to fly. Probably just gonna do a very quick flight. Well, I have 6 batteries, so probably be about an hour, but it gets dark really quickly around this time of year. So we'll try to get out there and flying before that happens, or else it's not going to work very well. And I might be out of rubber grommets. There are a few in here. Let's see if we can make it work. I didn't make sure I had every single little thing, because there are a lot of little things to remember. Like, you need spacers so that things sit properly. You know, you can always make it work. It's just how protected and how nicely is it set up so that it's reusable and reset-upable. Computer loves, oh come on, loves to tell me about low disk space, which is very helpful of it. Very helpful, Windows. Okay, one more rubber spacer. There may not be another one in here. It's okay. Got another little bag of hardware here too. Actually, this stuff should probably just go straight to here. This is all hyper low hardware. Yeah, whatever, just put it in here. Oh, we also got a little capacitor, which might be useful for power filtering. Just another little thing to remember is the power filtering, another concept. Yeah, FPV's got such a high learning curve because of all these little concepts that, all these little things. Now, I particularly like to try and figure out all these little concepts and the best way to utilize things so that you get the best experience, a very consistent experience. But some people are a little bewildered by them. So I guess ultimately the point of this stream is to unbewilder. Is to clarify both for myself and for other people, and try and make it a little bit more accessible. See if we can get some more people interested and be like, you know what, I could build a drone. I'm a smart human being. I know how to learn things and get some people thinking that way. Because 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, it's basically what I did was like, you know what, I'm a capable human being. I can learn things. YouTube exists. Basically, all this, nobody goes to school. I mean, people go to school for engineering, but for flying FPV, it's so new. It's like within 4 or 5 years, people just go to YouTube University, go to YouTube Academy to learn this stuff. And it's great that stuff like YouTube exists so that we can share information so openly. People say YouTube is dying, and that might be true, but I'd like to think it's more like changing, for better or for worse. It's always changing. Okay, so we got these little rubber grommets. They're the same color as this mat. Oh, you can kind of see them. And those will act as spacers. I was trying to find a couple more of them, but I also have these yellow things that go in the flight controller as well. So we'll get those hooked up. Get those all pulled through. Just little yellow guys. Little minions. Little flight controller minions. I wonder how my sound is. It's probably a little bit low. Maybe I should just turn it up a tad. Check 1, 2. I wonder how this music's coming through too. Music should be low. Shouldn't be drowning out anything, but I did a little audio test on my other computer up here earlier, but I had to switch mics, so it might be a little off still. That's all right. We're learning. It's a learning process. Experimenting. I'm hoping to do this stream thing more often. I'm not always going to have new builds to drone or new drones to build all of the time, but the more often I can do it, the better that the streams will get, and hopefully more people will find it and check it out. And maybe we can build a little community of people building and flying for each other and pushing limits and doing all that good stuff. Okay, so we're going to hold this flight controller down with some plastic guys. Now there's two schools of thought to putting these together. I tend to go with the, make sure it all kind of fits and works together before starting. But some people like to sort of get all of the electronics hooked up before even putting anything on the frame. But I find that if I do that, most of the time something gets messed up. Like I didn't think about something, or some kind of spacing issue. And it's the little things that really start to add up to one another. When you're doing a build to like make it less rigid, or you keep having to cut corners because you didn't think about something beforehand. So I like to get it kind of all on the frame and situated before starting any electronics stuff. Anything that's like, you don't want to be re-soldering wires and stuff after the fact. That's not fun. pulling whole solder points off and redoing them. It just takes a lot of time and work. And we already have a bunch of work to do, so let's just not make some more for ourselves and just make sure that everything is prepped beforehand. So following that philosophy, should probably at this point get all this stuff. Whoa, focus. Forward focused. We should probably get all this stuff tightened up. I think I got there's press nuts, which are like little, the press nuts are little metal parts that are embedded into the carbon fiber, and I'm pretty sure that I got them on the right way. I don't know. I guess you could either put them down or up from this one plate right here. The screws are actually screwed into them right now. Adds a little bit of height, but I think this is the way they're supposed to go. Oh, the other thing is there's a big debate about Loctite, which is like a little liquid that you put in here so these screws don't ever come out, but I think that they're pretty, I mean, I check for loose ones before I fly and stuff, so I don't think it's a total necessity to use the Loctite. Especially if you get it nice and snug in there. Get it nice and snug. Just tighten up all these points before we get going. So, we're going to fly later today, but I don't think that we're going to get this one flying today. This is going to take a couple more hours than we have today, but we're going to get the meat of it done. We're going to get the bulk of it done. We just probably won't be able to get the video hooked up or the programming done on the controller. Oh, what's up, Taco? I don't even know how to say your name, actually. Takotsubo, yeah. Got some white noise in my mic. Okay. Add a little noise gate filter. That's a great idea. Thank you very much. Where is my mic? I do have a decent amount of white noise. I'm using this backup microphone right now in my headset, which is not the best. I'm not too happy about that, but let's see if we can add yeah, we're gonna full cut it. I need to cut it. Okay, wait, we need a noise gate. Yeah, let's hook up this noise gate filter real quick. Check. There we go. Let's see if we can get these thresholds. Hold time 200 milliseconds. We can probably pull that down just a tad. Check. Pull down this release time a little bit too. Open threshold. Yeah, I think when I'm talking it's coming through, and then when I stop talking, cuts. Alright. Yeah, it's a great idea. Hey, and I'm glad that you think it's very glad that you think it's neat. I think it's neat as well. I hope at least one person out there thinks it's neat. What'll be even neater is if we can actually get the flying streaming going and be out in the field and be flying around and seeing the video, and then having me be able to talk over it with a little like lavalier mic or something. You have a little microphone hooked up, and then you actually stream all that out, and you could be like flying around, be like, whoa, almost hit that, you know, just so you're trying to hit the gaps and stuff, and be talking along as you're flying. And I mean, even more complicated, but cool would be to get like multiple cameras going in the field. One for your controller, maybe one on your face. Probably not totally necessary, but the one from the drone as well. I'll get partner. Yeah, we'll try and partner with Twitch if we get that going, because they're always looking for new creative things to go with. I mean, I guess you have to. I think there's a viewer threshold that you have to hit to get partner. Yeah, I'm trying to be the spearhead of the FPV drone streams. I mean, some of these guys on the internet, like Mr. Steel and stuff, they do like streaming through like Instagram and stuff, but they just basically use their phones to like record little screens. And I have one of those little receiver screens, but I mean, that might work. It's not a bad way to go about it, but if you get that HD and be able to get like good audio, like that would be very preferable. It's very exciting to me, especially if, as you're saying, if you can partner with Twitch because of that, because no one else is doing it. If they think it's creative, I just don't know what the viewer thresholds are on that. Like, do you have to have a certain amount of people looking at you already, or I just don't know the partner rules off the top of my head. I feel like they're always changing anyway. Oh, it's invite only now? Yeah, so how do you get, I know nothing about getting Twitch to, even notice you. Guess you just gotta get viewers and have somebody there, like, see your stream. But you're right, it's probably, probably more likely if you're doing something completely new other than gaming or whatever. It's not really proven yet, so there's challenge there, but it's also yeah, there's challenge because no one's really doing it, but there's also opportunity because you could be the first. You know, you could make it your own. I could start a wave of people like doing more technical stuff. I mean, I already see people doing like programming and stuff, which is pretty cool. People doing DIY. Affiliate is 3 average viewers, certain amount of hours per month. Okay. Hitting that right now. Got that 4 viewers. Actually, where are they coming from? Are they coming from Twitch? Nice. Yeah, I have to look up the affiliate stuff. See how you said it's printed guidelines for affiliate, but partners invite only. Yeah, I have to look into that. We'll discuss that later for sure. We're gonna discuss how to get me there. Also, we gotta play some games soon as well. Been hitting that Tarkov hard over the past couple of weeks. I took like a couple days off of it, but I was just playing yesterday, and it's a very fun game. It's like, you just get so addicted to it. But have you been playing Tarkov or Call of Duty more recently? Sometimes I see you around and you're playing some Black Ops. Okay, got these nibs going. Pull these nibs through this get these nibs situated in these mounting holes. Twitch Tinder? I've never heard of that. What is Twitch Tinder? It's just like a themed stream with Raj Patel. You get 2K followers if you win. Sounds kind of fun. Is there swiping involved? A fake Indian man. Like he's like a robot, or like he's not actually Indian? Like, is he a fake man or is he fake Indian? Oh yeah, Tarkov. He's white. Oh yeah, He's a fake. You're saying he's a fake Indian. I see. Yeah, Tarkov is seriously broken. I don't know if it's gotten better or worse. I feel like every time they put out something, like it's one step forward, 2 steps backwards. But it's an addicting game. Like once I get all that stuff figured out, which I have this theory about this open access thing. I mean, with games like DayZ and stuff being in early access for like so long, like it basically makes this what's that called? The self-fulfilling prophecy, where you just basically doom yourself to never releasing, because you especially if you get popular, like you don't really even have to release. Like people are already playing the game. Like you don't need to make a full release. Yeah, I get Escape from Tarkov is both punishing and broken. So you kind of have to just. I tend to play like a couple of matches, couple of raids, and then I go, yeah, I'm frustrated. Let me just stop playing. So like, and then I'll think about it again and start playing again. So I try not to lose too much stuff all at one time, because then I get seriously demoralized and never want to play the game ever again. But you know, every once in a while you get one of those like wins where you like get out with like get some kills, you just get into good fights, and you get out with some gear, and you're like, damn, this game is great. 2019 is the last year of beta. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I try and stay up on like their Twitter and stuff, but I'm not sure about all the newest news. I get all my news from Clean, that streamer Clean, but I don't stay up on it as much as I probably should for being a fan of the game. Okay, we got these yellow nibs in here. It goes like this. Bing bang boom. Yeah, it's still not tall enough. We're gonna have to put these rubber spacers in so that we can get the height that we want here. In other news, my 3D print finished. And it looks super stringy. That's what usually happens with the first experiment, is it comes out completely different than you think it is, but you do a little tweaking of the settings and get better quality prints. Canted sight mounts that pay 3,500 rubles. They sell for 11,000. I sell 200 of them daily. Wow, what's money? What is money? What are you up to? Like, what, you got millions of rubles right now? I think I'm at like just above 2 million rubles, which is plenty of money to get some raids done. But you know, you look at people, the streamers like Pestilli, and they just go through hundreds of millions of rubles every day. I mean, they also have communities to like do, like he's been messing with the flea market system and everything, which is pretty cool. Like you get a whole community to like back you, and you send money out to people, and I just see him with like hundreds of millions of rubles. Okay, let's check this printout. Okay, that's not too bad. I think... Let's look at this 3D print real quick. So, it's clearly a reindeer. It kind of looks like the reindeer's been walking through the snow, like in the wind, and it's got like icicles on it. Come on. Let's do this autofocus. Let's work together. It's very, very stringy, but I think that was because I turned the print speed up. So there's a couple different settings that I can use to try to get this like better, higher quality, just better print time and stuff. But it's not too bad. The antlers are very interesting. They came out a lot better than I thought they would, even though they look pretty stringy. Actually, it's pretty good. I might just need to slow it down a little bit, and what I'll do is I'll take some clippers and I'll clean them up a little bit. But that's not a bad reindeer right there. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger too, because these things seem like a little thin. They're very frail. You can probably break them pretty easily. If you make them bigger, it'd be a little thicker and more rigid, which would probably be better. So as a next print, I'll scale it up, and I'll make it go slower so we don't get all this stringing as well. But pretty solid. Not too bad as a first experiment. Probably a little bit bigger, and it'll make a perfect Christmas gift for the relatives. Oh no. It's just a stringing. The tail's still there, technically. It's just not very well defined. But it didn't rip it off. I'll have to rip off a lot of this stuff though. It's looking pretty haggard, especially between the legs, but it kind of looks cool, like in the antlers. I don't know. I'll have to try it again. That's so crazy though that the printer can get that fine grained where it just makes like an antler like pole. Yeah, man, it's only a few millimeters across. Yeah, I can see here. I don't think this camera's going to be able to pick it up. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Ooh, nice. Oh. Okay, let's try something. Let's turn off this autofocus for a second. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm in control. Yeah, so you see, the antlers are so thin. It's crazy that the printer can get that thin, and like not, and still keep its like definition. Like you can still see the antlers are in there. It's just a little bit messy, but in here you can see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get close enough, but there's a little break right there. And that's it's because it shifted as it was printing. So it was printing on one spot, and then like because they're so thin, it probably just bent a little bit, or this got pulled in or something, and it started printing in another spot. If I make them a little bit bigger, then the antlers will get a little thicker, and that'll probably fix that. Just keep experimenting with it, see what happens. Oops. Zoom out. Okay. We focused? Yeah, we focused. Boom. And this was how long did this take? An hour and 15 minutes? That's not bad. We'll pump up the scale a little bit. It'll probably take like closer to 2 hours. So we're not quite at Star Trek levels yet with the 3D printing, where you can just be like, wong, and there it is. But it takes a couple hours, but I feel like in the next 5-10 years, these printers are going to get good enough where you could just, and precise enough where you could just print stuff in a matter of minutes, and then we'd be printing tools and food all the time. Yeah, I got some cobwebs. Oh, should I make a PETA flag for my WiseBot or my Nightbot or whatever? You type in a hashtag PETA and it'll be like 43 complaints have been made against Dan by please contact PETA immediately. Just chatting is, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe some people are intimidated by the science and technology part of it, like maybe chatting is gets more viewers. You know, more people are hanging out in the genre. That's definitely a good idea. It's a good thing to try. Okay, so we got rubber grommets. There we go. Yeah, so we got a little sandwich going on right here. Rubber grommets, and then we'll put another one on the top here, and that will get our stack, our brain, quadcopter brain, finished up, and we can move on to the next part. There is one more thing to do here, which I'll probably leave for later because it's a little bit of a more boring part. But you take these wires and you splice them with the other wires, so you can be like bam, bam. Actually, will this just fit? No, no way. No. One is a little bit wider than the other. But I already have a couple of them. Yeah, here we go. Here's the other wires here. So we'll splice these two connectors here, and we'll splice the one wire into the other so that we can actually connect the two boards. Usually what you have to do is connect all the signal pads to one another, but this makes it so you don't have to do all that work. But there is some splicing to be done, for sure. This got turned a little bit. Yeah, I'm also going to have to work on my hardware for this stream a little bit. I mean, it's working pretty well right now, but this overhead thing is just a little flimsy. Sometimes I kick it and it's just this little bouncing. Yeah, sensor wire. It both has the battery voltage running through it as a sensor for the battery voltage that's coming out of the speed controller, and then that way you can actually get a readout in your goggles. And then also it's the control wires for each one of the motors. So the controllers has 4 outputs which go into the speed controller, and that will control each 4 of the motors. And basically, when I say control, you're just controlling whether it's spinning one direction or another and how fast. You know, more power is more faster. Okay, so I think the next step of this process is just getting all these motors hooked up and situated and getting the wires cut. I have to decide as I'm doing this whether I'm going to change the wire color to like this green, so we get this whole green theme going on. Might be more work than it's worth, but we'll get all the motors connected first, and I'll think about that as we're going. Let's get this out of here. Okay, I got my handy dandy. Actually, I might need a different. Let's see. Let's do a little test. Is this too thin? Too thin. I need a different wrench for this, and I actually have all my tools right here. I do have something here. Not everything is in the drone shop, the workshop. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's the right one. Ooh, green shrink tube is actually not a bad idea. If you just line the whole thing with green shrink tube, then you won't even see the wires. I actually have this casing stuff, like PC wire casing, like the, what do they call it, the Chinese finger trap stuff, but I only have black. It'd be cool to get some green wire mesh and mesh it all the way down to the thing with the green ones. Actually, let me grab the green wire just so I have it on hand. FOC BLDC? I feel like I should know what that means. I feel like that's some kind of sensor acronym, but I can't think of it right now. BLDC. Alright, I'm gonna grab the green wire. Yeah, hold up 1 second. You know what we're going to try right now? We're going to try... Wait, I got this other screen that has some nice graphics on it. Be right back. Okay, everything's still working? Yup. Brushless motor config.foc. Got links in my chat? Better not be hacks, bro. No, it's just the chat thinking it's a it's a link. Okay, so I got the wire. Now I'm not very happy with the green color. That's basically the green color right there. Actually, no, that's not even the color of the wire. I don't think I've ever used this green wire. That's why it's all like wrapped up in here. Just gotta get it all unspooled properly. Okay, there we go. So like this green, it kind of looks blue on this camera, but it is a little bit bluer. Like it's not as lime. It doesn't really match. So yeah, I think I'm gonna skip it. I'll probably have to just do a little rebuild with the right color green. I mean, even this is like a little darker, but this wire is just blue. It's more of like a juicy green, while these are like limer greens. Yeah, I'm gonna skip the green wire for now. We'll figure out how to make the aesthetics better later. No, it didn't make the mod mad. It made I was just thinking about it. I was just hesitant to actually click it, but also as I was about to click it, I realized, oh, it's just auto-linking it. It's not actually a link. I thought you were sending me some kind of config file or something. That would be cool, though. I'd like to read more about it. You said with field-oriented control. Yeah, I think we'd have to take a look in the software beta flight to see exactly what it's using, but I think it's either using that or something similar to that. And I don't have my auto mods even really set up yet. That's another thing I gotta work on. Okay, we're getting close to... Okay, here we go. Let's get these motors hooked up. You know what, I put all these motors on here, but it's gonna be easier if I just do one at a time. Okay, I didn't think about that. Usually the motors come with two different sized... Okay, let me see if I can show you what's going on here. This is another reason why you lay everything out before you start. Autofocus. Okay, so this is why you lay everything out before you start, because usually the motors come with two different size screws, and these only came with one size, and they don't really stick through enough to actually grab the motor. So I'm going to need to find different screws to use that are just a little bit thicker. Otherwise these motors are going to rip off pretty easily. First we're going to check... First thing, we're going to check what the motor actually did come with, to make sure I didn't miss that there are like two different size screws or not. No, these are all the same size, so what I'm going to have to do is find the same size screw. Not that. Find the same size screw, just only longer. Okay, so that's a good amount longer. Fit. Will it blend? Yes. Okay. So that's I think they're M3s or something. Okay. Now let's check the length. through the frame to the motor. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is what I talk about. So now, autofocus. Hate to keep putting this on manual focus. Anyways, now they're coming through a good amount. Enough to actually grab the motor itself. Yeah, so now you can see this like actually coming through. It's good 5 millimeters. The seed. Seed. It's the TS100. It's like it's what everybody uses and gets off of Amazon. It's just the like I had a really crappy one before, but this one's nice and electronic. And gets hot pretty quickly, and also has like a bunch of safety modes and stuff, which is very, very useful. I like it a lot. Okay, I have to find more, or enough of these motor screws. Hopefully I just have a bunch of them sitting around. Kinda looks like I do. Just look through this mess of screws right here for the right sized ones. Good thing they kind of look different than the other ones. They're like a little bit of a lighter metal. I think they're from some of the other motors that I've used on these builds previously. I think I know which ones too. What some people do is there's 4 motor anchors, 4 motor screws. Some people just use only 2 of them. To both save weight and screws. It's not as rigid that way. You can easily kind of bend. Oh, okay, this is a little bit of a different size. It's fine. You can easily bend or rip off a motor that way if you don't actually pull off 4 screws on there. Is this the right tool now? Yeah, this is the right one. It just doesn't fit exactly. Okay, there we go. I won't waste time putting all 4 screws in right now, though. Mobile check deposits? Exactly. It's pretty much just as powerful as the one in your cell phone. It's pretty much just as bad. Actually, the cell phone is probably better. To be honest, the autofocus on this just, I don't know if it needs more dots, like it needs more points of autofocus or whatever, but this is my first time streaming with a DSLR, and it actually kind of works because you can do a little zooming action, get the high quality, but probably in the future need a different DSLR that has better autofocus, and that way I don't have to keep switching it back and forth. Okay, just gonna put 2 screws on each of these motors just to get them hooked up, because I might use different screws or get them resituated eventually. Yeah, you're taking a picture of a check for your bank, and it's like, move away from the check, move away from the subject. And it's like, move closer to the subject. And like the whole time it's still blurry. It's exactly what it's like. Trying to deal with this autofocus. It's supposed to be more helpful. Yeah, I was thinking of getting one of those Sony cams. I can't remember what they're called right now. But they have really good autofocus. The Sony A10 or something. I can't remember what it's called. Thinking about buying it a bunch of times, but I've almost pulled the trigger a bunch of times, but I don't do that much photography. It'd be mostly for making videos and vlogging and stuff, but if I start doing these live streams more regularly, it might give me a justification for it, right? buy a new camera. A7, that's the A7. It's the A7R, A7 Plus. Been looking at all those guys because they got really good video capabilities, really good autofocus, and that might be my new replacement. The one thing that really hasn't been figured out, maybe you know more about this for live streaming. Yeah, the A7 just got great, a couple points to the camera that are just fantastic, which are like, one, great autofocus, two, fantastic slow-mo capabilities. So that's not for live streaming, but for taking video, like just really good slow-mo capabilities. But then the best is it's got really good dynamic range. So whether you're inside or outside or moving in between, like you can just rely on it on auto mode, just figuring out what picture it should be showing. And that's great for live streaming because you don't want to be touching stuff. You want to be playing games, or you want to like be building drones or whatever. You want to be using your hands for the things that you're doing and not controlling your camera the whole time. But yeah, I've been thinking about buying myself one of those cameras, but they're just expensive. I need to justify it better. Okay. Alright, I just realized that I put the... You're supposed to, if you're going to use 2 screws, you're supposed to make them in line with the way it flies. So if it does crash, it doesn't, like it has more of an anchor point in one direction. I just realized on 2 of them I messed it up, but we won't worry about that right now. I'll go back and fix that later before I actually fly it. Okay, we got some extra screws going on right here. The X3000. Is it an action cam? Like, this is a small guy, like a wide angle. Okay, what I think is going to happen, it's going to be more of a straight shot if I line it up like this. Boom, and connect these wires on here with the solder. Yeah, my process for doing this soldering is usually you just get one entirely done, again, to just prove that whatever your strategy is going to work, and then you just repeat that another 3 times. That way you save yourself trouble of doing like 1 step on all, 2 steps on all, and then you get to the 3rd step and you're like, oh crap, it's not going to work, let me backtrack at all of them. You just do one first, then you only have to backtrack on one of them. Cut this. Cut this tape. It's all taped down so I can work on it. Gotta move around too much. Yo, this track though. The white thing. Can you hear the music alright? Is it too loud? Is it too low? Is it chillin'? How does it make you feel? Is it Christmassy enough? Yeah, it's kind of glorified elevator music. It's like that chill hop. But this one is like Christmas themed. I hear a lot of the same types of songs in this as the non-Christmas themed one, but there's a bunch of them that are like Christmas remixes, which is kind of cool. You know, 'tis the season for elevator music. What do you want to hear? You want to hear some EDM? You want to get that dubstep blaring? Okay, yeah. Okay, so the first soldering that we need to do is actually getting these motor wires connected to the controller. And then I think it's about splicing these, getting all this kind of situated. Yeah, let's before we start the solder, let me just make sure that this is going to be sitting. This is coming off of this at a weird angle. Gotchi base. What is that? Let's do a quick little Google search. What is gotchi base? I already know this is Mimi. Alright, that's the Twitch themed song. Alright, let's try it out real quick. The original video got removed from YouTube. Hey, I like that. I'm all about the beat. It's definitely kind of memey though. People are so funny. Somebody actually spent like a long time like putting this song together, probably like 3 hours. Okay, yeah, this is at a weird angle. Maybe I can fold it back on itself. Right, yeah, I could probably fold it back on itself like this. Or maybe not. This is a little... Never used this specifically on here, so we'll figure that out when we get to it. Let's continue with the... getting these motors going. This is the official theme song of Twitch right now. Is that what I'm hearing? The reason I say it's memey is because like the image is just straight up like an emote, Twitch emote. That's pretty enjoyable. Ooh, Phil Collins in the air tonight. Oh, this guy does a bunch of different remixes of stuff. Alright, back to Christmas. Senpai is ever present, ever noticing. So they just comment on this YouTube stream. Ever present, ever noticing. Okay, we're just right now getting these wires taped down so that we can solder them without them like, you know, we can cut them up and solder them without them going everywhere. It's a little bit more organized. Okay, I gotta get this soldering iron heated up. It's got these safety features where it just turns itself off, which is great. And it does heat up pretty fast, so no issues there. keep forgetting that I can't see this part of the desk down here. I mean, it's the part that's closest to me, so it's easiest to work on. But gotta work on this black mat, which is a pretty nifty little mat too. It's a nice Sia remix. We'll play that one in a little bit. Okay, I'm definitely going to want this pad here, so let's just pad for the to mount the antenna. So let's just get this stuck on here in the right position. See, this is the one thing. I put my head down and it's going to block the camera, but that's the only way I can like measure it up. I can see it properly as if I get right up in it. Okay, okay. I love that these hyper-low frames come with these little battery pad for the top plate. So when you put your battery on, it has something to press against instead of just being directly right on the top plate. Also, like this little pad that they started shipping with for this antenna, so you can actually like grip it in there and zip tie it, stay on nicely. It couches it. It fits it in there nicely. Makes it very stable and a little bit protected too, so it doesn't crack your carbon fiber, which is always nice. Your hottest two interests? What's up? I am God Mode. These are hot interests for you right now, drones and 3D printing. Well, they really, it's a good word for it, like beget one another. They go so hand in hand because now you want things to be light and you're also crashing all the time. So the plastic is super light from the 3D prints, and when you're crashing all the time, you need to be like reprinting stuff and redesigning stuff all the time. When stuff rips, you just go print another one in a few hours. Especially for the GoPros mounts and like antenna mounts and stuff. I mean, I don't really do that much like protection for the arms or whatever, since the frames like this are really set up to take a beating anyway. But there's like 3D printed mounts for the antenna, for the camera, and then that way, if they were metal, it'd just be super heavy. And if you break them, you can just print a new one. DIY drone. Amassing resources. Oh, so you're getting everything together so you can like. You're gonna print a whole drone, or are you gonna actually like cut carbon fiber, or are you going with a different material? Totally DIY drone sounds really cool though. I know in school, I was talking to some of my cousins, and in school they do like little projects for drones where they make like a little, like just little brushed motors and stuff, just little hobby parts. But they like take rulers, and they take the two rulers and drill holes in them and put screws to them, and just use the plastic rulers as the frame. It's a little less protection than this carbon fiber, a little bit less, a little bit more vulnerable, but definitely gets people into the idea of what a drone is and how to build one, and what it's like to fly one, which it gets that spark going so that people get interested in it. Oh, you finishing up grad school right now? Some beginner models. Oh, so they're your hottest two interests, but you haven't actually like gotten into it yet. Well, that's cool that you found it at least, because it is a very, very fun and rewarding thing to do with your time. At least I think so. Yeah, starting with beginner stuff is great because you you don't spend a lot of money on something that's just going to break anyway. You just got to plan for it to break apart and to go completely differently than how you think, and then that's how you learn how to, like, respond to that. And if you're starting with stuff that's like too expensive, you might burn yourself out real quickly. But I started on like a little teeny, actually I think it's around here somewhere, but little teeny drone I got from Amazon, a little Hubson, and it's like stabilized, so just basically flying it through the house, just learning how to what each of the controls were doing. And then I crashed that thing. I think I had 2 or 3 of them, and they were like maybe $40-50 total. I also had like a little other mini guy. I maybe had 2 of those and another little mini guy, but they were very cheap on purpose so that I could crash them into walls and get new propellers and stuff, and it was like, dollars to fix them. But this sort of thing here with this is just set up for to be the strongest and to be as replaceable as possible, like modular as possible. So if I break a motor or whatever, a bell gets dented or whatever, I got another one ready to go. Just cut that off, put the other one on, and crashing and learning how to build it is like, 1, most of the fun, and 2 is the best way to learn about how to fix it, because you're going to have to fix it at some point. Most people's experience with drones that I've seen is like they fly it a couple times and then it breaks and they put it in the closet and never think about it again, because they don't really know what's going on. They don't have the interest to like figure out how to fix it and how to make it work properly. But that's cool that you're into have you done any drone building or any 3D printing yet? I mean, I just started with the 3D printing like a couple weeks ago. And that's a pretty a cool idea to try to just from scratch just make everything on the drone, because like, I mean, this is pretty close to scratch. You get stuff people, I don't have a laser cutter to like cut the carbon fiber, so I got to get that cut by somebody. But the guy who makes them, Rich at Hyperlow, makes this frame. He just does it all himself. He doesn't have anybody. Well, he might be working with some people to manufacture stuff, but he designs, and I'm pretty sure he's got like a cutter at home as well, so he can quickly iterate on them. A masochistic trait as a programmer, yeah. The interests make you go down rabbit holes and to spend time and money on like figuring all this stuff out. I mean, I'm the same. I'm also a programmer, so I'm used to figuring out or identifying problems and figuring out solutions to them, and sometimes that means just spending money on stuff like this. So you could fly around, and once you get a taste of flying through the air at 50 miles an hour, it's hard to give that up. You just continue to find better and faster and just better all around ways to be able to do it. Cheaper too, just trying to figure out how to like economize as much as possible. Obscure issues. Oh, it's in your DNA now. Yeah, I definitely feel that. That's why I'm doing drone stream on a Sunday. Some people are out having brunch and mimosas and stuff, and I'm building drones because I gotta go fly, Okay, let's cut some. We got the soldering iron ready to go. We're going to cut some of these wires so that they fit better. I might leave a little bit of slack. That way if something breaks, I can have a little working room. But yeah, let's do like this. Do I have a way to mark these? I need like, oh yeah, I have a little knife right here. Do a little mark in the wire so I know where to cut them. It's not very seeable, but it'll suffice. Yeah, I might have made that even. Okay, no, I can see where I did a little cut here. Just leave a little bit of extra space so I can strip them. Oh, that's the other thing I don't have is my wire strippers. I probably can just use these though. Small enough I don't have to get through that much material. Oh, I should probably just get the wire strippers. Get easy on myself. That wasn't too bad. Oh yeah, Clean Flight. Yeah, I've been using. I started using just plain Clean Flight at the beginning, and I moved to Beta Flight, which is, I can't remember if it's an offshoot or if it's just a rebranding of the UI that you use. It's all basically the same programming though, unless you're using KISS, which is slightly different code. But Beta Flight just runs in Chrome. Very, very interesting little program. Because I know at one point you had to command line all this stuff and just go into like terminals and just be like, I need this to do, like just know all the commands for it. But now you got a nice graphical interface for it, and it just runs on Chrome. So I even have like a little Chromebook that you can take out in the field with you, and it'll run all of the software that you need right in the Chromebook. You know, you don't even need like a full OS for it. But yeah, I've been thinking about that recently. Is like I would love to get into figuring out how to contribute, because I am a programmer and I'm on mostly for web stuff with JavaScript, making websites and web apps. But I am on GitHub and I am familiar with that whole process, and it'd be so cool to be able to contribute to these drone softwares as well. I'm not really sure where I would start, but there's just been so many cool features people have been adding, and they've been being merged into the main code. The different filtering stuff for power and for your for the control of the drone. Different features like different features that people have set up manually before and have gotten moved as like a main feature into the software. Stuff like something called turtle mode. So when you're flying your drone around and it flips over and lands on the ground like this, all the thrust is going this way. So you're basically just thrusting to the ground. So what you used to have to do is walk over there, go pick it up, flip it back over again. Now you got something called turtle mode, which will actually reverse the direction and speed of all of the motors, and the props are set up to push air this way, but they will also push air this way if you spin them fast enough. So you set up the turtle mode, turn that on, and just like basically spool up just two motors. So it goes whoop, just go whoop. Or like if you're stuck in a tree or something and you're stuck in a certain direction, you spin up two of the motors to like push yourself out a different way. 'Cause sometimes you're just against like a branch or something. You can't thrust this way, so you turn it on, reverse all the speed, go that way, and then you're out. Instead of having to like always walk over and flip it over, and they just merged that into the main code not too long ago. And it'd be cool to work on features like that. Just coming up with new ways to handle problems like being too lazy to go out and pick up your drone in the field. Okay, I'm hoping that we can get... How zoomed in are we here? I'm hoping that we can get a good shot of the soldering process. That's why the main reason I wanted to get this SLR going is because of this zoom lens. We can get like right in on the soldering. And hopefully my fat head doesn't get in the way. Okay, we are at 350. It's a tad high. That should be fine. Okay, and we're hot. Yes, we are hot. We got our solder here. And we're just going to do one for now. Let's just make sure this is going to work for us. Okay. Before I actually start anything, let me just get assume the position. Yeah, see, my head's getting into the shot a little bit. Just have to stop, like right here. No head in the shot. So it says it's at says it's at 350, but it does feel pretty hot, or it just feels warm, but it's not actually melting the solder. So let me make sure this is at the right settings. Pretty sure it should be 350. Does 350 Fahrenheit sound right? Or is that too low? Wait, I can check this. Get your drones up and flying, combine it with your current university research. Secure firmware over the air updates and embedded systems. That's interesting. So embedded systems. So like those systems are not connected to the internet, like on purpose, and then I guess if I'm speculating, like you take a drone and you can like fly the drone within range of it and like update it securely over the air. Like you don't have to actually plug the drone. The drone doesn't have to go up to it, or the technician doesn't have to go up to it and plug into the hardware, but the drone can like securely beam updates or something to it. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like a whole new application for drones. I mean, most people using it with drones are 90% used with cameras right now that either survey or basically surveying. Like farming, surveying fields, power line surveying, and also like search and rescue operations are like the three big drone things. Other than obviously the not so great killing machines. That's the other big thing drones are used for, but in more commercial, not military applications. It's mostly surveying stuff. But if you're talking about bringing a drone up to like a system and having it be able to like update it from like near range, that sounds like a cool application. Because you do, especially if the thing is like up in a power, I don't know, like up in a tower or something, you just have to get close to it. That'd be pretty cool. Over the air, secure over the air. IoT devices, the attached Raspberry Pi and SIM card attached. It can have essential. Okay, so you have to get close to it to use the drone to physically get your update. You know, the update's like on the hard drive in the drone or whatever, and you beam it to it wirelessly, but like close. Have a central maintenance hub to get updates from. Yeah, that'd be cool. You have like a hub on the ground. All the drones are at that hub, and then you can send them out to all these near field things that need updates. That's really cool. And you're doing that for your university, for your your major, your research project. Wow, I wish I'd studied that in school. I just studied like media and communications. Which was cool, but I was doing like audio stuff, audio technician and hardware, and being able to record music and stuff. And that's where most of the soldering and electronics interest came from. But I wish I could have done that in my university. That research project sounds really cool. Are you an engineering student? Also, I'll be right back. I gotta grab my other soldering iron just to check on one thing. Yeah, so I'm a dummy, and I realized I put this on Fahrenheit when it should be on Celsius. How do I change it? How do you? Not familiar with how you. You know what I'm gonna do? Since it's on Fahrenheit already, I'm just like usually I use Celsius, but I'm just gonna convert it. Okay, so we're going to be like around 570 to 650. Okay. Let's go up to 580, see how that does. Hopefully the voltage can get me there. Yeah, I major in the UK in information security, and my main research topic goes into secure firmware updates. Yeah, that's really cool. I read a paper co-authored by my supervising professor that had a mobile device as a middleman actor between our OEM and car ECUs, control units. Download, store, backup, install new firmware. That is some cutting edge stuff right there. I like that. It's very creative thinking. Because most people would say like, oh, why don't you just hook them up to satellites or the internet or something? But that's like it's a whole another challenge. Now obviously the challenge of getting a drone to fly to a thing precisely is a different thing. But if you can automate that with positioning and sensors and stuff, I feel like that would be somewhat preferable. It has its advantages for sure. Now, if somebody needed to like control all the drones, that might make it a little bit tough. But using it as an automated system, definitely see that being used in the future. You just have drones basically sending updates and working on stuff all the time, so you don't have to send people out there. Save a lot of money, and especially if they're in hard to get areas. Or dangerous zones or something. It's definitely a job for a robot. Alright, let's get up to temp. How we doing? We're at 550, 560. Okay, let's see if this is going to burn some solder. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright. We got some solder going here. You know, now that I got this noise gate on, I should turn on the fan so I don't breathe in all this crap. Get it to go out the window. Okay, and the window's open, so we should have an airflow going on right here. Let's see if the... Okay, yeah, we got an air current going out this window right here. So the window back in there. Should save my lungs. Okay, this soldering iron's new, this tip, so it's gonna take a little bit to... There we go. Boom. This is how we do it. Not hot enough yet. Let's get it a little bit hotter. Yeah, it's a little, it's pooling a little bit.
Feel about all this Christmas business? Getting depressed and all that happens to me every year.
Yeah, there we go. Is my head in the shot? Yep. Gonna have to practice that. Get my fat head out of here. Did you put major in quotes? Because they call it something different in the UK. You major, like I was using US terminology.
Never get what I really want. What is it you want?
Just having trouble getting up to the temperature I want it to stay at. Probably need a better power source for it. We'll have to work with this for now though. So I'm tinning these wires. I got the pads all soldered up, and I'm going to tin these wires out so I can connect them. And I got these nifty little tweezers here, ceramic tips, non-conductive, which makes them so they don't get hot, and also no chance of electrocution, which is always good. Okay, get these wires out of here. I'm just gonna flatten this. Okay, we're hot enough. Getting some traction. There we go. Okay. Soldering iron's working well, actually. Very impressed. I actually got this soldering iron recommendation from a drone guy named Ladrib on the internet, Drew Camden. He's the president of Rotor Riot, a company that's very prevalent in the FPV world right now for freestyle. And I actually have a bunch of their parts going on right here. The cameras from Rotor Riot, these motors are Rotor Riot produced. But very few comparatively do that. Oh, you really don't major in mining in the UK. More like you have a base degree and that's what you do. Yeah, I've heard that. I have some family over in the UK. I've heard that from them with the research project stuff and specializing, but not necessarily like having a determined major, which is kind of is getting to be less a thing in the US too, because people have classic majors, but then they do a whole bunch of other stuff while they're at university anyway. Extra title, a friend of mine doing in linguistics, Spanish, BC. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I was in school, I majored in media studies, but I was really doing audio engineering and also taking a bunch of general media classes as well. But then I also like minored in music, and I was never able to actually complete the minor because I chose to like come out to the West Coast, out to California, and they were like, well, you could either stay here or you could go and get your minor or go to California. And I was like, well, I did like 99% of the credits and stuff that I needed, but I'm just going to have to drop it since I want to go to California. So it would have been cooler if I just got a title as opposed to like not finishing a minor, which, what does that mean really? Like, I took a whole bunch of music classes, learned a whole bunch about music. Not actually using it right now, but just find that stuff interesting. Just like programming music is just like programming sound and frequencies. but I was always a little tiffed that I couldn't finish it and actually get the degree to say like minor in music. But you know, what does that actually mean? Like, it should have just been like a title, like, you know, you studied this and you have you studied music as well. So that titling system seems to make more sense to me. Okay. Why are we not heating up right now? What's up? Soldering iron is not seems to be losing its heat. I think I can change that in the settings. I just don't feel like messing with it right now. Just want to get this stuff on here. It's like working alright. Man, I'm actually having kind of some issues with this temperature thing. Okay, can I back this off right now? Having some major issues. Yeah, how did you find the stream? I am God mode. Are we just poking around Twitch? Checking out science and technology? Sometimes I do that. See what people are working on. Wow, this is it's bugging me. Is there stuff on this iron, maybe? It says it's at 630 Fahrenheit, which should be plenty of heat. Okay, wait, here it comes. Yeah, I did get a little bit of solder on one of these pins. I'm gonna have to disconnect this real quick. I think this tip is a little bit big. I seem to be not being able to be as precise with it. Oh, nice. Oh, thanks. I am God. I am God mode. Yeah, I'm glad that you found it as well. I'm always curious, like, how do people find, like, you know, I tend to surf and look at some of the lesser watched genres, like the science and tech stuff, and, you know, I like gaming too, but there's just so much of it. You never, you know, you always find it. Someone's always sending me a new person to check out or whatever. Find them through YouTube and stuff as well, but I'm glad that you were surfing around and that you found my just from the title, huh? Yeah, Sunday Funday, building drones on a Sunday with this new soldering iron that's killing me right now. Maybe I should just go back to my other one until I had some more practice with this one. That'd probably be smart. Oh, man. I'm getting solder all over my frame. It's all good, it's all good. Just be patient. Number one. Rule of soldering is friggin' be patient. As patient as you can be. stuff can get hot real quick. Put yourself in a hot position. Like I just did with this pin. Okay, that's all good. I need some solder sucker. Yeah, how's my head in the shot? Yeah, I might need to go grab my other soldering iron. This tip is much newer than my other one, so I thought it was going to work better, but I'm just not used to the way it heats, and I feel like I'm messing up my board right now. I don't want to screw it up before I have even started. I also have another tip. Maybe I should try using the other tip. I can't remember if this one was larger or the other one was larger or smaller or whatever. I'm gonna go grab my other soldering iron, just 30 seconds, and I might have another tip to try out too.
Listen, man.
Alright, so yeah, I do have another tip right here, and it's got a little bit of a sharper point. That might be the ticket. Might be what I'm looking for. Alright. Yeah. Lurk mode failing. I'm just glad you checked it out, Takotsubo. Always glad to have your support. Okay, I probably shouldn't change this tip while... Well, let's unplug it at least to be safe. It's going to be hot, but I don't really feel like waiting for it to cool down. Gonna need a very specific Allen key. Yeah, I am God mode. I'm trying to do this more often. Not sure exactly what I'll be working on every time. Because, you know, I don't always have a new drone to build, but I'm just going to keep coming up with new projects and new challenges to try to communicate, you know, what I'm doing on stream. Because I do feel like there is some interest in this sort of thing out there. It's just hard to find, and hopefully if I post it in enough spots online, you know, I should have posted it on Reddit, right? Should have put it on the Reddit FPV subreddit. I posted in a couple like groups, especially I made sure to these guys Hyperlow, the frame that I'm building right now. I made sure to put it in there because I feel like some people who are interested in the frames will want to see this frame kind of built out, or at least an example of one built out. Okay, how hot is this? I feel like these tips get really hot and cool very quickly, but to be safe, I'll put it on this metal thing. Let it cool all the way down. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, God mode. Yeah, I just got this new crib. Which where I can finally have some space to like actually build and have my whole setup. Before I was in like a much smaller area and just not enough space to put all like the equipment, especially for streaming, but even for like building, like I had one desk and now I have two. Like the computer is on this desk, you can't see, and then I have a second desk, so there's a little L going on right here, which makes for a great little setup, which is just not possible before. And then, oh, you're also into building PCs? Yeah, the one I'm streaming on right now I built. I've been thinking about, well, Takotsubo has been convincing me to build a new one. What I do is convert this one to just stream, and the other one would be like my main one. Build that one in with the newest stuff, and then have this one just for streaming. Yeah, but you gotta finish up university first. Find that job. Get yourself set up so you can set yourself up for success with the drone thing. Okay, do I have enough voltage? That is the question. Seems like it's getting hotter. Not actually touching my finger, I'm just getting close. Okay, so this edge, head's in the camera again, isn't it? So this edge, what this allow me to do is like push the solder away. Yeah, there we go. So now there's a flat part. Perfect. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Hopefully I didn't ruin the let me just get real close to this. Yeah, no, the connection is good. There's just some flux on top of it. That's perfect though. Okay, onwards. Okay, I am liking this solder, the iron tip. I am liking this one better. I think this is gonna work better for this. Getting these little connections all set up. Just have to make sure that the flux, that the metal isn't actually touching, and that there's a barrier of flux in between. If you don't know what flux is, the solder, the actual material itself, is metal, but in the center there's a resin core. And that resin, people call flux, is good for getting right in between the different points so that you're not actually bridging connections that you're heating up. I may have used a little bit too much solder trying to get that to not touch. We'll come back to that though. Your new base? Oh, is it a computer setup? Yeah, I like links. I'm not too crazy about the links yet. I need to have some more viewers yet before I start getting too stringent with that. Alright, so what am I looking at here? You're looking at a 3 monitor setup? Oh, with capture? Are you starting a streaming setup? Yeah, see that. Alright, so you have your main and your capture PC. Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of like what I'm going for. Actually, I have a 3 monitor set up right now, but these two over here are vertical, so they kind of make one bigger monitor. It's not perfect yet because I have like the webcam is all the way in the top corner here, and I kind of need to turn the screen so you can see better, but it's the best that I've got thus far. Just right now trying to make sure that this connection isn't bridged, so I don't get any shorts. Just being overly cautious. It's like it's touching just the littlest bit, and I don't want it to cause a bigger problem. Just being patient. Just gotta spend some extra time making sure that I don't get any shorts. I actually do plug it into power. Sometimes you just gotta redo the connection. Yeah, okay. And it's because I flayed this wire a little bit, or splayed it, and just got it a little bit thicker than I wanted it to. Okay. You know, to be honest, this takes like double the amount of time to do when I'm streaming it. I think that's just because of my lack of practice of streaming, but you know, I'll get there. Also, I'm not the best solderer. I'm not the best on the planet with a soldering iron, but you know, I say that, but then I see some other people's work that they post online. I'm like, okay, I'm not that bad. Some people fly stuff that's like kind of rough. I'm surprised that it even works, even stays up in the sky. Yeah, this is tight. This is the tightest frame that I've ever built too. It's not a ton of space, but that's good. It's gonna make a nice lightweight build. Nice compact build. Okay, that looks good. So, after 20 minutes, I have one motor soldered on here. Yeah, it's going to just take a little bit of practice. What do you say? NVIDIA SLI Navi Crossfire. Ooh. I've heard of it before, the Navi Crossfire, but I don't think I know exactly what that is or what that does. I have used Crossfire SLI before, but that was back with my old video cards. I recently, in the past 6 months, got a 1080 Ti to play some more serious games on, and it's also good for streaming, doing this streaming stuff as well. Okay, so I think that is going to be exactly what I want as a setup. So I'm going to go ahead and mark and snip the rest of the wires and start getting these solder points set up too, and hopefully we can get all these motors connected, and maybe the board on top, and then we'll leave maybe the FPV system for another day. Build general purpose or anything more specific like racing. Oh, well, I would love to race. Racing is one of those things that, from what I know, like, you kind of need to know a couple people, because, like, well, I just moved to a new area as well, down in San Diego, and I don't really know anybody down here that does that sort of thing. I do see people on like Instagram and stuff that do it, and you know, I've put out some feelers, but haven't figured out how to like actually get into the community. It's like, you know, a community-based thing. You got to find the people who are doing it, who are going to go set up gates. I think there is a track over by where SeaWorld is. I think there is a racing, drone racing track, so I have to go check that out soon. What I do is do freestyle. So I like the look of the kinetic movement of the drone, and getting that movement as like smooth as possible, so you can get some like nice cinematic footage from it, basically. But I have a couple friends who do racing, and they make it seem like it's super fun. Just get all the movements all precise to actually get around the track as fast as possible is a slightly different challenge. But it does sound like it would be super fun to get into. Especially would justify the building of them, because you'd be crashing and building a lot more often. We justify having, you know, 3 or 4 drones lying around, so you can go racing on weekends. And when one breaks, you can just pick up another one, and that might give me some more content for doing streams as well. So it might all sort of, you know, play into one another, which is what I've been considering recently, is getting into that, so I have more of a reason to be building all the time. But yeah, mostly what I do is just freestyle flying. I like to go out and take footage of cool places, or just really go to the park and just see an area in a different perspective than you usually do, because you know, we're stuck on the ground. Mostly we see stuff from our human perspective, like, you know, you're standing on the ground looking up at the trees or whatever. But with a drone, you can get in and around and on top, and it's just cool to. I find it just a really cool look to see that kinetic movement. It's almost like a dance, right? Dance is people enjoying the look of the human body, the kinetic movement of the human body. So freestyle is the kinetic movement of the drone, and just finding sort of like an art or a beauty in that. And so I make videos, freestyle videos with GoPros and such, and I also have like a DJI drone I get some other cinematic footage with. And I'm kind of into filmmaking as well. I don't do it as a job, I just do it as a hobby, so I don't have a ton of time to devote to it, but I have found that drones are a good way, and you know, a new interesting way to capture stuff on film. And people are always, you know, sometimes I collaborate with people are always looking for new ways to shoot their commercials, or whatever they're into, just find a new way to capture it. And that's what drones are good for. You can fly after. I have a cousin who does like dirt biking and motorcycles, and you can fly after motorcycles at 50 miles an hour. It really lends well to stuff that moves fast. You can really move fast with something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised in the future if something like NASCAR or biking or rallying, I mean, even like they would start using drones to capture it. I mean, even at the Olympics, they had filming drone for like skiing and stuff, right? And I don't know if you saw, there was like a famous GIF of a skier going down the mountain, and they go around like a downhill skier, and they go around one of the gates, and a drone just falls and collapses right behind them, like right where they just were. It's like they definitely started using drones to capture fast-moving stuff, especially when you're going down a mountain with snow. Like, you can't really, you gotta get a snowmobile with a guy on the back. Like, a drone is a perfect application for filming that. Okay, so here's my framing. Stay within the framing. Alright, I'm just stripping some wires. I'm going to go around and strip all these wires. Okay. There's 2. On to number 3. You know, it's 3 p.m. I'm going to start making a decision now. Do I catch the rest of the light of the day and try to fly, or do I continue this build? I think what I'm going to do is just get these motors hooked up, and then I'm going to call it a day with the streaming from here. And I'm going to go out to the field, just a park by my house, and test out, because I already have the batteries charged. I'm going to test out the GoPro streaming capabilities through my phone's hotspot. So I don't know how well that's going to work. So I want, today's a day of experimentation. So I'm going to try that out. And sunsets at like 4:45, maybe 4:30. So if I get out there in the next 20 minutes, I think I'll be good. So I'm going to try to accelerate my pace here just a bit, because I really only need I don't even need like an hour, but it'd be nice if I had a nice cushy hour before the sun sets to try the streaming thing, because I'm sure there's going to be a problem somewhere. I don't really need a ton of time to actually film today. Don't think I'll be making a video or anything. I think I'm just going to be experimenting with the streaming. My plan is the GoPro's got new streaming capabilities built in. My plan is to use the hotspot on my phone, and now I know that the hotspot has some range limitations. It's really only supposed to work within 10 feet. So I don't know how well the streaming of the flight's going to go if I fly away from myself. I'm usually within 100 feet, but I just don't know what the range is going to be like for the hotspot. So that's where the experimentation comes in. We might drop. I did an experiment a couple weeks ago in my backyard with my Wi-Fi, and that seemed to work all right. But I was within 20 feet of the Wi-Fi antennas, so I expect it to be a little bit worse when I'm out in the field, especially with trees and stuff in between. But my goal is to eventually get a whole setup going. So you were asking about things more specific with the builds. It's pretty much all for streaming, or all for taking video, but I'd really like to get one of these builds to be like an HD build and stream the video through the HD video through some kind of capture process into 4G, to a cell network, and then that way I could be anywhere in the world and stream from the drone itself. So there's a couple challenges there. You need to, 1, have a good connection, 2, have a way to get the video into the encoder and then go up into 4G. But another thing is the drone audio is not very interesting, right? It's just going to be loud propeller noise. So I also have to figure out how to get a mic in there. You get a little lavalier mic or something, hook it up to yourself and into the encoder as well, and then that way you can be watching the drone video and then I could be speaking over it as well. Intel RealSense camera to a drone, stream the video to a hub, and try to do face recognition. That's both awesome and a little creepy at the same time. That's exactly when people think of drones, they're like, oh, it's spying on me. And that's That's exactly what the real sense camera would be doing, is like trying to recognize faces. But that is a cool technology application. I don't think anybody's doing that right now. It's like using pushing the boundaries with like what the drone is doing with the filming. What type of applications can you use the camera for? Facial recognition is like straight Minority Report, like straight sci-fi. Yeah, constricted to the backyard. Yeah, I wish I had like a nice big backyard that I could fly in, and then you would only need to go like 50 feet or whatever. But my backyard's pretty teeny. I mean, good for like literally doing a small test. That's why I'm trying to figure out how to get it out to the field, so I could go to parks. All different sorts of places, honestly. Like, go to parks or like little wildlife refuges and stuff, like stuff where people aren't necessarily walking around all the time, not going to be in the way, and you could do some with the technology that I have in my drones right now, you can do some pretty long range stuff. It'd be cool to go out to the mountains and do it too. And the cool thing about the way I'm thinking about setting it up is, as long as I'm getting video from the drone to my goggles, which is like if I'm flying, I need the video from the drone to my goggles, I can then, from where I'm standing, have a base station, which is going out into 4G with the drone from with the feed from my goggles, which is the plan right now. I just have to also figure out how to get the drone video to be higher definition. And also aspect ratio stuff like 16:9. I got a 16:9 camera that I'm going to try out. Yeah, the problem with the GoPro is that with the goggles, I can send it through the video to my goggles and then output from the goggles into an encoder. But the problem with the GoPro is the GoPro itself needs to be close to the Wi-Fi. So that's what I'm going to be testing today, seeing how feasible that is. It's probably going to be pretty bad, but who knows until you actually try it out. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not used to the soldering iron. My skills are very, very low with this iron right now, but in general, this iron is better than my other one. I just need to get used to it. Just need to feel it out. Okay, so right now I'm applying a solder to all the pads, and then I'll do it to all the wires as well, and then I will do the last bit of getting it from the wires onto the pads. Connecting the wires to the pads. And then that's probably where we're going to have to stop for today, because I really do want to get out to the field and run these batteries and test it out. Okay. Yeah, I've been dealing with GDPR because for my work, I do a bunch of websites that are, international. We don't have the same restrictions in the U.S., but because it's international, we've had to comply with some of the standards, which are pretty good. It's nothing too crazy. It's basically letting people know what's going on with the privacy and stuff, what type of cookies are being saved in their system, and what information we're taking from them. Just basic letting people know what's up. Which I think is good practice all around. I know as a user of the internet too, like I like to be informed what people are doing with my information and what's going on when I tap this button to sign up. Like what's the deal? Ooh. Whole piece of solder right there. Okay, let's try to get a better position on this. It's very tight. I got big fingers, so got big hands. I feel like I keep bridging. It's so close to the pins. Like I feel like I keep bridging some of this stuff. It's just not good. I think I'm using too much solder right now for my skill with this soldering iron. Oh yeah, I definitely bridged that. Let's clean that up. Okay, perfect. Just pulled it out. Okay, maybe I'll use my fingers. Just get the fingies up in here. Not as precise, but a little bit more control. Oh, it's hot. That's why you don't use the fingies. It's really hot. Burning my fingies. Damn it. I didn't leave myself enough wiggle room here with these wires. It's okay. I'm gonna make it work. Not a lot of breathing room. Yeah, this is too much solder. Let's learn from previous mistake. Some of this solder off of here. Come on, okay. Go. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Okay, just a couple more minutes and I'll have all these connected. This is a good way to practice your soldering skill. See if you can move a little bit faster. And also be a little bit more cleanly with your points. Just move efficiently. Yeah, again, what I'm doing right here is I'm just connecting all the motors to the central speed controller. And then that way we can control the speeds. We can control the motors with the brain of the operation. I'm using way too much solder right here, but it's okay. I'm just gonna let it burn all the way off. Clean it up later. Okay, I got all those hooked up. We'll do it live. All right. Last connections. You know, this would have been smart to do from the beginning, but you can actually remove these standoffs if I find the right. Yeah, okay. If I remove these standoffs, then I'll have access, better access. Okay, moved. I should be able to get in here a little bit better. Maybe even with my fingers. Okay, number 2. And number 3. It's a nice meditative process. Control your breathing so you don't breathe in the the solder smoke. You gotta be very patient and precise. A lot of people meditate a lot of different ways. I guess soldering is my meditative process. I don't think there's enough solder on this one. Come on. Okay, just a tad more. Maybe I should be wearing safety goggles to do this. I don't usually do that normally, but since I'm on the internets, you know, maybe safety first is the way to go. I just don't usually not one to flick solder at myself. Usually pretty careful about it. Okay, those are on. Last motor.
Hey, yo.
Okay, 3, 2.
Be careful when you're with that woman. Women are all liars.
And 1.
You should know that.
Last wire. Boom. Alright, now we check. And we take a look. Okay, a little rough, but
I'm getting out of it. All of it. When I do, will you come with me?
it's just a tad rough, but we... pretty good. There's a couple of spikes. I don't like these spikies. Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, just looking visually from the camera, those look a little bit rough. See, there's just one that's... I'm just gonna fix this one, because it's like a little bit off the pad. Still on? Come on. Ooh. There we go. Now it's on there a little bit better. Whoa! Come on, autofocus. Yep, there we go. We got all the motors hooked up. Took a lot longer than I thought it would, but we had some good chatting to do. Some great topics, some fascinating topics to talk about. Very excited that we got some other people with drone interests in here today. It's a good start, right? So yeah, I got all these motors hooked up to the speed controller here. So my next steps are to get this flight controller on here, get that hooked up, and then work on the FPV system, the actual video system of it all, and that'll go. You know, we got a little video transmitter back here, and then we got the camera up front, and I'll have to figure out a mounting. Like, this camera is a little bit too big for this frame, so I'll have to figure out a mounting solution for that. Yeah, see, like it pushes those parts apart too far to even connect it. I'll figure out the solution for that, and then the only other thing is the receiver, so that I can actually control the drone. Zoom out. And that guy's so small, I seem to have lost it again already. He's just so teeny. Oh, here he is. Got a little receiver and an antenna here. So we got a couple more things to go on this frame, but that's okay. Just want to make it as perfect as possible. Just take it slow and have something that's really going to be enjoyable to fly. Hopefully I can, if I can finish this by next week, I can bring this to the East Coast to do some snow flying. I really like flying in the snow. I think it makes a great environment, like a great look for the camera. Obviously, a bunch of water on the ground is not great for the drone, but I think it makes a great, it's a great look, great tone for the GoPro to pick up. And I know some people over there want to see some of my drone flying, so I like to appease as much as possible and bring some more people into the drone world. Just get them interested and seeing what it looks like. But it's almost 3:30, and I want to get out in the field, so I'm going to call it for now. Make sure to unplug that. Yeah, it's been We've been about 3.5 hours, I think, at this point, which is great. I didn't expect to actually go for this long, but that's awesome. I love that. I love that some people stopped in today and that we got to discuss a couple of drone topics. That's always sweet. Yeah, so... Hey, I forgot to read chat for YouTube. Tino said, "What up?" I'm glad that Tino poked his head in. That's great. It's awesome. I love seeing these drone people jump in here. I hope to do this a lot more. I want to get on like a... This is more of experimentation. I hope to get on like a more ready, concurrent, consistent schedule. Probably in the new year, since the holidays are going to get crazy. I hope to do at least 1 or 2 more before January, but the holidays always get a little crazy with traveling because I'm going to the East Coast, and you need a streaming setup to be able to stream. But maybe I'll just do it from the GoPro and see if that, if my tests go well today, maybe I'll be able to do that from the East Coast. But if you stopped by, thank you so much. Thanks for saying hey, and if you have any questions, if anybody wants to see anything in particular, just let me know. Very open to ideas, and this is a whole new process for me, so I'm just trying to figure out what's going to work best and how to present it in a way that people like and that I find enjoyable. I really love building these little flying robots. It's very... Just both the building process and the flying is just fascinating to me. It's like playing a video game in real life, and you get to go real fast at no expense to your body, which is always preferable. So yeah, I'm gonna get out there. Check out my Facebook stream that I'm gonna go try and stream on Facebook. So check it out if you can just type Dano Schmano, same name. Into Facebook, and you'll find me on there, and I'm going to go out to the field and I'm going to stream, see if we can get some flying footage going through the internets as well before sunset. I think sunset's like an hour, so I better get out there. Alright, thanks guys. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.